Namaskar and welcome to another episode of Ananda Marga Dharmacast. This is a podcast series which has been running for many years, but now we're doing the podcast on the audio, but also we're adding the video component too, so that it will be available on YouTube. So for today, I have something which might be a little bit longer than my normal format, but it's kind of an important topic. And maybe it's an amazing topic, but the topic is how to create a paradise on this earth. So, that many people think of paradise as a place, in heaven or some other place like that. That's one idea that people have. When you die, you go to, if you're good, you go to some wonderful place. Everything is really fine. Other people in the past have said, no, they've had this concept, what they call utopia. Utopia means the good society. So there were people in the 1800s and even maybe before who used to go out into the countryside and start their own community. They were, communes, and they thought, well, we could build the ideal society out there. And then later on, the Marxists came. They said, no. You need a scientific socialism, not this airy-fairy utopian socialism. And they said we can build, the ideal society, where there won't be oppression and everything will be great. Those things didn't work out. The utopian socialist things didn't work out. The Marxist experiment and colossal failure, and then even it touched even into the late 20th century in the hippie movement in the U.S. I know because I was kind of part of that. So some people said, no, we'll go out in New Mexico, we'll put up a teepee, and we'll have a great. I was with some people. They said, well, no, we'll get a farm in Oregon and we'll set up the ideal society. But one thing in all of these quests, that people had, whether it be the first utopian socialists or the Marxist experiment or even the hippie idealists, the thing which really is needed to create that paradise on the earth, and this was really, you'll see, is one of the defects why Marxism didn't work out, is that you need the proper people to do it. Even if you had the greatest economic or social structure, but you have dishonest people, it will be torpedoed. And there's a very good parable. It's called Animal Farm. I think it's George Orwell wrote that. I get mixed up with always George Orwell and Aldous Huxley. I believe it's George Orwell, and it's a book called Animal Farm. And then it's a parable of the defects of the communist experiment, because animals take over a farm and they want to have an equal society, and then amongst them their leaders exploit the others, and they become just like the humans that they kicked out of the farm. So this is the defect. So really, to create that paradise on the earth, you need Dharma. That's what the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata is all about. Krishna was fighting for Dharma. But what is the essence of Dharma? Dharma means to follow the true human spirit, the true human characteristic, what we really are. But how are we going to follow that? What does that mean? One of the fundaments of to live a dharmic life or a spiritual life or a noble life is to follow a code of conduct, which in the yoga is called Yama and Niyama. Yama, Y-A-M-A, is one part. Now, one thing about the pronunciation of that word, I'm going to hate to let you know this now, but when in Sanskrit, when a Y is in the beginning of a sentence or word, it's pronounced like a J. So yoga is really yoga. And Yama, which is the first part of this, is really Yama. So I know that in English, we have yoga, so it's going to be hard to change that. So anyway, I'll go halfway. Yama is Yama, is the first part of the yogic and the dharmic concept of conduct. And it's really important to know. These things are important to know and to follow, because when it's done, then we can create what has never been created before on this earth. So what is Yama? Yama sadhana, and also Yama or Jama was also the name of the Lord of Death in the Hindu mythology. But what that means is control. We have to have certain kind of self-control. Self-control in relation to the society around us. So it means we have to get in harmony with the whole society that we live in. So there are certain components of how to do this. And the first one is called ahimsa. Ahimsa, that was made popular by Gandhi, Mohandas Gandhi. But what it means is, it means to not harm others in thought, word, and deed, not to inflict harm on others. So that we can go into I could spend the whole time debating what that is, and when is a proper use of when is ahimsa and when is not ahimsa. But basically it means we shouldn't create any unnecessary harm to those around us, by thought, word, and deed. Now, you can defend yourself. Anyway, that's also another interpretation. But according to at least what my guru has taught me, Sri Anandamurti, he said that you can defend yourself, and certain things like that. And there's also a question of animal and plants and things like that. But we won't discuss that now. And maybe at another time we can do a whole segment on really what is ahimsa. But main thing you have to know now is you shouldn't create harm to others by your thought, word, and deed. Then the next component of Yama sadhana or Yama control, self-control, is that we should use Satya. Satya is a word that actually has no English equivalent. Satya means that supreme entity. So it means always it means eternal. Sat is actually eternal. So it means always to keep in an eternal stance of benevolence. Satya really means welfare. That's really this. Though if you go out on the street in India and say, what is Satya? They say it means truth. So it also means to speak the proper things, to speak the truth. But if your truth is going to harm somebody, and it can sometimes, if some criminal is coming looking for somebody and they ask, where is that guy? You say, oh, he went away. It's not true, but it is Satya, because you were saying, you were doing, you were thinking, you were acting for benevolence. So really, when you think of Satya, you should think of benevolence, or benevolent truthfulness, at least to keep the traditional idea of truthfulness, because that's important too. We should be straight up forward with one another. So when people are not injuring others and they're straight up forward and thinking of the welfare of others, you see already the society is looking brighter if everybody was doing that. But there's more to it than that. There's another part called Asteya. Asteya means not to steal, not to take from others what doesn't belong to you. So we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do that physically. We shouldn't plan to do it. Sometimes people think, oh yeah, I would take it, but then they look and they see the guard is there, someone's watching, I won't do it. So already in your mind you've done, it's not as bad as taking it, but it's not so good. So we should banish that from our mind also. And then there's another kind of theft, which is indirect. It means that you didn't take anything, but you also didn't give what's supposed to give, like you snuck on the bus or the train or something like that. So you didn't take anything, but you deprived somebody of of something that was due to them. So that kind of theft also should be not. So you already see it's building up. We live in a society where people are not hurting each other. They're working for the welfare of others. They're not taking from one another. Then there's another concept, which is a really amazing concept. It's called Brahmacarya. Now, Brahmacharya there are narrow interpretations, which are actually not really even etymology. They're not, according to the meaning of the words, they're not correct. So Brahmacharya means to be attached to Brahma. It means to see God in everything, in other people. When we see God, that's why yogis go like this. We're saluting God in that human form. So that's what Brahmacharya means, is to treat others and all the things of this world as an expression of God. Now, the misinterpretation, which at least according to my guru and others who study this deeply, they say that, no, see, in the misinterpretation was that in the Middle Ages, the monks, they said to the lay people, said, yeah, Brahmacharya means celibacy. So think about that. So that means that only the monks can be celibate. Other people are inferior. It's really a degrading kind of concept. So Brahmacharya doesn't mean celibacy, but it means to treat other things as an expression of God. So this is what it means. And next, and also if we add that to the list of what we've already described, that you see what kind of society you would create. And then finally in the Yama section is Aparigraha. And Aparigraha means not to take more than you need, not to take excessive luxuries. So, each person has a need in this world. We need food, shelter, clothing, medical care, education. These are our necessities, our basic necessities. But when you start to get more, and if you pile up more and more, there are two negative effects of that. And one negative effect of it is that it may deprive others, because when there's excessive accumulation of wealth, and we see that in this world today, that sometimes it results in the deprivation of others, and that's not a good thing. But also, if you as an individual, if you acquire too much wealth, it affects your mind, because you're meditating on all your wealth, and has a tremendous negative effect, which I'm going to go when we go into the next section. But it prevents you from being content, and then you've lost everything. So people pile up wealth so that they could be secure and happy and all these good things, right? But then if it results in your permanent distress of mind, it's not a good thing. So accumulation, excessive accumulation, harmful for the society, harmful for the person. So refrain from it. So that's Yama sadhana. If you follow these 5, ahimsa, Satya, ahimsa, not hurting, Satya, benevolent truthfulness, Asteya, not stealing, Brahmacharya, treating others with respect like they're God, and Aparigraha, not taking too much, you'll become in harmony. You'll be in harmony with those around you. So this is the beauty of this Yama sadhana, of Yama sadhana, if you want to will. So now in the next part we get to say the why in the usual way, because the next section is called Niyama. Niyama. So what is Niyama? It's also kind of a controlled conduct, but it's a controlled conduct which helps you to get in harmony with yourself. It's self-purification. So there are certain elements of that. How are you going to perfect yourself? How are you going to become a better person? So first one is called Shaocha. Shaocha means cleanliness, but it means, you've heard cleanliness is next to godliness. You've heard that. It's true. So cleanliness, if you keep your environment clean, your body clean, your clothing and everything clean, it has a very great effect on you, and also people around you will appreciate it too. So the physical component is important, but there's a psychic component also, because sometimes our mind can be we look good outside, but the mind is thinking negative things and selfish things, bad thoughts, narrow thoughts, mean thoughts. So that also has to be cleaned out. So just like you wash your body with soap and all that. So how to wash the inside? The yogis have a way how to do that. But one simple way I can tell you right now is that when you have one of these thoughts that it's not a great thought, like the birthday cake comes out and you look at it and you say, wow, I could eat that whole cake. That's not a great thought. Because imagine if you eat the whole cake, what about the other guys in the party? Not a good idea. So what you do, how to get rid of that thought, is you make it a point, I'm going to serve everybody before I take my cake. So that's one way how to kind of cleanse the interior. But the exterior and the interior, you have to be squeaky clean. I wrote a song about that. You have to be squeaky clean, inside and outside, but it'll have a great effect. Next one, I alluded to before, is called Santosha. And Santosha means contentment of mind. If you can keep your mind content, that's everything. So you go now, you can do it, a social science experiment. You go to the richest neighborhood, go up to Beverly Hills or Bel Air in California or some other, fancy place, and you knock on the door, if they let you in the door, but if you knock on the door and you say, are you happy? Are you content? And then this rich guy is going to say, I got a lot of money, but it's in the stock market. I don't know. I heard it's going down, it's going up. I don't know. And also thieves are coming. And so a lot of these people are not really content. And some of these people are workaholics too. Rich people, they come home and they get out their laptop and they're still working and working and working because they're just not content. I need more, because I could be losing it, all of it. So they don't have contentment of mind. And then there could be a very simple person, and that person, he or she does his or her work, gets what they can get from it. They become a little bit satisfied with that, and they rest quietly. And then that person has less income, but maybe more contentment. And like I said in the previous section, if you grab too much stuff, that interferes with the process of becoming content. So our job is to be content. You have to work as hard as you can, get what is due to you, but then you have to know how to rest. Knowing how to rest is really an important thing. I'm going to add one extra. In the animal kingdom, there are two examples of this principle at work: a bad example and a good example. So a bad example is the honeybee, that these creatures, they work and work and work and work and they don't live very long until they die. They never stop. So that's bad. Don't be like the honeybee. Now, a good example in the animal kingdom is the dog. So anyone who's had a dog knows that all you have to do, you have to give them feed them, give them a treat, pat them on the head. They become content very easily contented. So we should be like that, at least that in that part. We should be in that, follow that example of contentment. And then another component of self-purification, basically becoming a better person, is called Tapah. Tapah is an interesting concept. It means penance, to practice penance to reach the goal. So in the Middle Ages, some of the religious people had this thing where they would flagellate themselves, and to get rid of their sins, whip themselves, and that's not the way. This is not this kind of. And in this thing, Tapah comes from Sanskrit, means to burn. So it means to burn the impurities of the mind. But God will not take pleasure if you torture yourself to do this. So the best way to remove those impurities is to serve others, selfless service. So really, Tapah means to take upon yourself the burdens of others. So instead of, because we're always thinking of, I have this problem, I have that problem, this is bothering me, that is bothering me. But when you can stop doing that and you think more of others, you'll become purified, plus others will get benefit from your service. So it's an all-around win-win. So Tapah is very important, this selfless service. Really, if you have to use an English equivalent, we could use service for it, although the Sanskrit word for service would be seva, but still, selfless service is the way to practice this Tapah, to purify your mind and to overcome the ego. Basically, that's really what the yogic path is about, is really to overcome the small ego that we have. And when that small ego disappears, then you identify with something bigger than that, which is the real self. And that's really what Dharma is, to attain that real self. Now, another thing which is part of this process of becoming a purified person, a better person, is called Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya means self-study. It means to read the spiritual texts, Shastra, scriptures. Shastra means that which liberates through discipline. So to read and assimilate, really, it's more than rote memorization, but it really means to assimilate the inner spirit of what is in that book. So what book should we read then? Not just any book, but we should read the books of the enlightened ones. That's what really is scripture is. So those scriptures, those writings, they liberate us. They liberate us, and so that's why one part of the path is to refresh your memory of what is the right thing to do and what we should do and what is the path, which way are we going to go. So that's what Svadhyaya is, and you should get some of those books that will help you, and you should immerse yourself in them and become one, though, with the meaning. It's more. Many people say, I read the Bible 10 times, 100 times. It doesn't matter if you read it 100 times. Some people put it under their bed when they sleep. No, that's not going to do it. Rote memorization or just put it next to your head, not going to work. You have to assimilate the meaning of it. And then the last part of the Niyama sadhana, and this is word for the self-purification, is called Iishvara Pranidhana. Iishvara means the controller of the universe. Like God, you can say. Although, God is is a big topic. We can discuss all the different meanings of God and the words that are used for it. But right now, let's call it the controller of the universe. And pranidhana means to take shelter. So we take shelter. That's really our abode. Like someone said, where do you live? And you say, I'm in Urbana, Illinois. I'm in Urbana, Illinois. But where's that? That's in Urbana is a city in Illinois. Where's Illinois? It's in the United States. Where's the United States? It's in the Northern Hemisphere. Where's the Northern Hemisphere? It's in the Earth. Where's the Earth? It's in the solar system. Where's the solar system? You see, it goes on and on. It's in the universe. Where's the universe? It's in that supreme consciousness. So that's the final abode, the ultimate abode. And so Iishvara Pranidhana means to take shelter in that abode. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to do it? Because this is a practical thing. All of these steps that I mentioned about how to become clean, or how to become content, or how to do service for others, even how to study, the things that you do. So how are we going to take that shelter in that final abode, our ultimate home where we're supposed to live? And the way to do that is through meditation. That's what another word for meditation is Iishvara Pranidhana. Iishvara Pranidhana. So when you do meditation, what do? You close your eyes and you bring your mind to that inner place, a quiet place, and you direct it towards that Supreme One. So that's striving to be part of that Supreme One. That's Iishvara Pranidhana. Iishvara Pranidhana. So, in summary, that if you could surround yourself, it could be even if you had, like we used to say, these utopian communities, yeah. But if you had those, let's say you had 25 people, but if they all followed, everybody followed that, you would have like a mini paradise. But we don't want a mini paradise on this earth. This is a big planet. And so even if you and your family are very good people, but around you, the people are not following these principles. And when people don't follow them, you know what happens? Not that they go to hell, it's not like you're punished by damnation. But what happens is really they degenerate and they become less than human. And sometimes that when people act more like animals, we say that guy is like a beast, and people can become beasts. So we don't want to become like beasts. But when you live in a society where there's a lot of people who are degenerated or are not living up to what they could be doing, then it becomes very difficult. So to create the paradise on the earth, in fact, that's what's alluded to in the Bhagavad Gita, what people read, and Krishna said, when Dharma has been degraded, I bring myself forward from age to age to help good people. So we want that. We want to help all the good people of this world. And when a good amount of the people of this world follow this, the Yama sadhana, self-control, and when they follow the Niyama of purification, when people follow these things, what happens? We say that when humanity expands, it becomes godly. Humanity expanded is godliness. So we become like gods. And that's what we want. If we had that kind of society all around us, the earth is a paradise. You don't have to go escape to any other place, any other loka, any other planet, any other imaginary world. The paradise would be here on this earth. Now, the way to do that, it starts first with each one of us, no doubt. And then we have to build a society that is conducive to Dharma. Maybe the education system will change. Maybe the mass media will change. It's not so difficult to lead people, to show people the proper path. But it starts with each one of us. So this is my humble prescription. If we want this ideal society, the society which is like paradise, then we have to put the nose to the grindstone and follow this Yama and Niyama, follow this yogic principles of conduct, and then we'll be on our way. So that's all I want to say. If you like this content, please, if you're watching on YouTube, give us you can give a thumbs up, give a good comment. If you're listening on any other platform, like the podcast platforms, also you can give it a review, subscribe, and come back for more. But this is Ananda Marga Dharma Cast, and you can see all the back episodes at our website, dharmacast, dharmacast.com, and you can see dharmacast.com, and you can see all the back episodes. Also, if you go on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, they have also the back episodes there. So that's all I want to say for today, and I hope to see you again and be with you all again. And today I just want to conclude with Namaskar. This is the yoga greeting. It means I salute you with my mind and all my heart, all the cordiality of my heart, all the love and cordiality of my heart, with my mind and with my heart. I bid Namaskar to you.